Develop a fortune state of mind, state of mind. It's time for a date with, time for a date with the Dorseys.
Hello, 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 and welcome again to another date with the Dorseys, where we discuss developing a fortune state of mind, which is not just creating or building money in the bank. What it truly means is designing a life rich with core principles that lay the foundation for a progressive love for self, love for your spouse, and general love for life. So before we jump into yet another amazing episode, we got to introduce ourselves, right?
Absolutely.
Just in case this is your first time tuning in, and or if you've shared this with a friend who may not know us just yet. So I am Dr. Jatan, and
I am Floyd Dorsey.
And hence the date with the Dorseys. So as I stated earlier, we have yet another amazing topic for you today. At least we think so.
We do.
Right. And I'm sure that it will be beneficial to anyone who's listening. And again, those who are sharing. Sharing is caring. So what is our topic today, Mr. Dorsey?
Funny. Our topic today is normalizing the unnormal.
The unnormal.
Unnormal. It is, in life, simply meaning that we typically find ourselves in situations that may not truly be conducive to the betterment of ourselves or those around us. However, what we do is we tend to just go along with it, regardless of the detriment it's causing to our health, life, and things of that nature. Now, this could be apparent in whether it's your career, it's your relationship, your health. We typically, we adapt to a lot of situations just as humans. And that's the unique part. I think this is a great part about us. We can adapt to a lot of different environments, a lot of different things, whether if it's painful or not, whether if it's something great that happens. We can adapt and we can adjust. The problem is we tend to, fall asleep. We can lull ourselves to sleep in terrible situations, and it tends to become the normal.
So is it kind of a state of cruise control, maybe?
Cruise control, but you're sleeping at the wheel at the same
time. That's dangerous. Absolutely dangerous.
It's like you have a bed, and instead of having a mattress that's full of cotton and, plus all the pillow top or air or whatever people are using for their respective mattresses, but it's more or less you have a bed of pins. And on that bed of pins, you're laying down, trying to get comfortable, and you're justifying the fact that, well, just give me a pillow, and this is just a new blanket, and you're moving around, finding that comfort on a bed of pins, not realizing it's the bed of pins that's causing the discomfort. Okay. So you have to realize what's going on in a situation and remove yourself from it or find a better one. Now, what we're saying or not saying is that when you face adversity, to remove yourself from the adversity. No, that's not what we're saying here. But it's really about the state of being of self and finding yourself trying to get comfortable in very, very uncomfortable or unhealthy situations. And people do it for years and years and years. And you can see it just, around the world, I think, in different people's lives, from their health, for that matter, or their careers.
So they just get comfortable in a state of discomfort because it's easy, because it's convenient.
It's good.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing, because when you talk about the bed with the needles, there could be other beds in the house, but this is the bed that's in my room, my master bedroom. So I feel like because that's the room that I normally sleep in, and that happens to be the bed in that room, I have to sleep on this bed.
I have to sleep on the bed.
Right.
Or this is the only bed I deserve.
Ooh.
This is
that hit something right there now. This is the only bed I deserve. So then,
or I can get, or I can afford, or whatever.
So worth, knowing your worth.
Knowing your worth.
So when you don't realize your worth, you are more prone to just deal in a situation.
Absolutely. And become content and comfortable with that very, very uncomfortable or normal situation.
So what are some things that result of this state?
I think largely what you'll find, or some of the things you'll find, people would slip into depression or anxiety or things with their overall just health, whether if it's a mental health, physical health, so many different things that we just tend to go along. And be honest, it's hard to identify those things within yourself because you look at yourself every day, you see yourself every day, and you're living within yourself every day. So it's really hard for you to truly identify those things within yourself because you've gradually progressed into that state. What's unique is that, or what's good is that for those around you to help you identify those things and having good people around you, they'll be honest with you, who have your best interests at heart.
All right. So one of the things you mentioned is, well, the main thing I heard is that as a result of this normalizing the unnormal, there are repercussions with your health.
With your health.
And you specifically mentioned depression and anxiety and things of that sort.
Yes.
And that reminds me of a quote that I shared earlier this week that stated, if you're functioning in depression, then you're living in the past. If you are dealing with anxiety, you're living in the future.
Okay.
However, if you are at a peace of mind, then you're living in the present. You're opening your present.
Living in the present.
Yes.
Opening your present. I like that.
Okay, so
another thing is a lack of confidence.
Okay.
I stated earlier that sometimes people feel that they deserve to be on that bed of pins or the bed of needles, or they can't do better. This is my lot in life, and I'm thankful, and I'm just going to deal with it.
This is what I'm worth.
This is what I'm worth.
Gotcha.
And that confidence, it really is, I guess, a key part on why a lot of people stay in those type of situations. But there's hope, right?
There's always hope.
There's hope, absolutely. And then another thing, it's probably the last, we'll go in here, because I know for the sake of time, we don't want to go over too long.
Yeah, but we absolutely want to go into some resolutions for this. Some things. Okay, go ahead.
Another thing is stagnation.
Stagnation.
Right? And of course, stagnation may lead to even more of a depressed state.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you start to look at your life and realize it's not where I thought it would be when I was planning it out 10 years ago. And I'm looking at it now, and where am I and what's going on?
Yeah. And then you may begin to think it's too late and just, again, deal with where you are.
Deal with what you are. So you stay in the same state again. It's a continuous cycle of laying on that bed of needles.
It gets a little pokey there.
Right.
Unless it's acupuncture, right? Okay, so what are some steps that the listeners can implement to resolve or overcome this challenge?
I'll give one, and I know you have a couple that you could share as well. But one of them is just reframing your thoughts. Reframing thoughts. The way you think about life, think about yourself, think about your career. All those things are so important, and oftentimes you find people in that state of normalizing the unnormal, or they're thinking that this is what I deserve. They're thinking this is where I belong. They are thinking a certain way that's allowing them to be content with that situation. But when you reframe that type of thought or that type of thinking, you'll soon realize that you could do better, more, whatever that is for that individual person in that individual situation.
Right. So
reframing the thoughts is key.
Yeah, because those behaviors or acceptances are usually learned from things that you've experienced in your past. And it becomes the normal for you. That's how that normalizing the unnormal. Because you learn that in your experiences in life, and it to you seem normal.
Absolutely.
Right? So that just, when you say reframing your thoughts, it just reminds me another thing of something, I think it was Ayanna that mentioned this, but she said, when you go, I want you to go into the mirror and the first person you see, slap him. And that's really what we need to do when we're reframing our thoughts.
We do.
We need to wake up and say, for every negative thought, I need to have 10, 12 positives.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Another thing you was talking back to thought, though, you mentioned it about that thought or your thoughts, and I guess how they probably were passed down or whatever, or something to that degree. But I really think your thought,
yeah.
right? Your thought is something you've been taught. And so to change the thought, you probably need to be taught something different. Learn something different.
Wait, hashtag. What did you just say?
You taught your thought.
Yes. You are taught your thought, y'all. That'll preach right there.
That will. I'll take it.
Okay, so I know we are short on time. We have a couple more steps for implementation to overcome normalizing the unnormal. So the next thing is determining fact over fear. A lot of times we get into a state of feeling lack of worthiness or, other things that we mentioned, depression and so forth. And we just have this state of fear that causes us to remain stagnant because we don't know what the future holds. We don't know if I take this step and do something different than I've always done, what does that truly mean for me in my life and what I'll have to do? It may mean more work. And I really don't want to do any more work. It may mean I make a mistake.
Right.
And I don't know how to look at, perceiving myself to be a failure.
Right.
So those things come into play.
And then some may even think it may get worse.
Yeah.
So I'm on this bed of needles now, but what if even more needles come if I change it? It may get even more painful. So why would I even move or change the situation?
Absolutely.
No, it's going to hurt even more.
Yeah.
So let me just deal with what I got and be thankful.
Right. So instead of soaking in the fear, it's important to develop your facts. So wherever it is that you want to go in life, whatever it is that you want to achieve in your relationships and everything that we've talked about in general in life, then it's important to identify the facts. What does this mean? If I have this goal, what is it that I know will be a step towards that thing that will be successful? What have other people done? Because usually nothing's new, right? As far as an experience. So what have other people done? Whatever that research means for you, but determine what the facts are. Right. And not always expect that the literal step, will be visible to you. Sometimes you just got to lift up your leg and just put the foot down. Right. And that's when the step will appear, right?
Right, because that fear largely is driven by the unknown.
Yes.
And since we don't know, we tend to, hold back or be afraid. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. Look at eye to eye, whatever that fear item is, and then start to know, experience, research, learn, whatever that is to overcome it. Because once you really look into it and see through it, you realize it was only just a boogeyman that you thought that was hanging, that was in the closet.
So when you say that, I got another story. I know we said we keep talking about this time, but this is getting really good. When you said the boogeyman, that reminds me of another story, right? We talk about fear, and just imagine, this is just a hypothetical, but follow me, okay?
All right, I'm walking with you.
So you're in a house. And the door's closed, the door's locked, but you hear this bark out on the porch. And it just sounds like this big, I don't know, what's the biggest dog that you can imagine that would be ferocious? A pit bull? I don't know. Bull. Okay. Right. So it sounds to be a pit bull. Right. And, you just stay in the house because you're afraid of this pit bull. You're like, okay, if I step out, it's a chance he could just, devour me. I don't know what could happen.
All these things you're making up.
You're just making up all these things, right? But in your mind, you're like, okay, I'm just going to stay here and be safe in this comfort zone in my house where the doors are locked, windows shut, yada, yada, yada. But then comes a point where you've got to go out. You ran out of food. I don't know what the need is. You got to go out. Right. So you open the door and you see the dog, but the dog has no teeth. So all this while, you're in the house, afraid to step out because this dog is going to devour you, bite you, scratch you, whatever it is. But he has no nails, no claws, no teeth. And all this while, you've been holding back. Fearful.
Man, fearful. But one key thing I really like you said if something happened that made you say, I have to go out.
Yes.
Whatever that thing is to get you out that door or to get you off that bed of needles is that motivation. That's that spark
that you need.
What it takes, whatever it's going to take.
Absolutely.
And to some, they may have to sleep a little bit longer on that bed of pins or stay in the house and avoid that dog a little bit longer. And run out of food.
Absolutely.
But it's going to take whatever it's going to take. And that's that spark of motivation or inspiration that individuals need to push through that fear.
Absolutely. And that takes us into the last step that we had, right?
That's one.
The exploration and venturing out. We just talked about this person being locked in this house. And in order to get what he needed to continue to live, he had to go and, in his mind, chance his life. Explore what was really on this porch that I felt that was going to overcome me or kill me or keep me back or, whatever it is, that failure.
Right. So you had to get out of what you thought was comfortable and to go out and explore what you perceive to be unknown or something different or or just taking a chance, really. Taking a chance on yourself, on your future, and for the betterment of your life and those around you.
And when you make that step, you'll look back and say, why didn't I do this a long time ago?
I wish I knew now what, I wish I knew 10 years ago what I know now. Those type of comments will come out, right?
As they say, shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Absolutely.
Let's just do it now. So again, that's what we wanted to share with you today, normalizing the unnormal. And we talked about some points that we hope that, you can relate to. We also shared some steps that you can implement to overcome it. And just real quick, those reframe your thoughts, fact over fear, and exploring and or venturing out to become the best you, moving out of the unnormal.
Yeah,
right?
move out of the unnormal. So last thing, a special plug here for Dr. Jatan is her birthday. We're celebrating. It's a big year for her. It's not a big milestone year, but every year is a big year. So
Absolutely.
I do want to wish my wife, Dr. Jatan, a happy birthday.
Thank you, sweetie.
Yes.
Oh, he's so kind. Okay, so enough about me on my birthday. Really, no, but yeah, since we are out of time, we thank you again for tuning in to yet another Date with the Dorseys, and we look forward to yet another.
Another one coming soon.
Develop a fortune state of mind, state of mind. It's time for a date with, time for a date with the Dorseys.